Hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of the Kryjer Knowledge Podcast. Today we have an interesting episode. I'm going to do a book review. This is one of my favorite books that I've read, and it's actually based off of a speech that was done about 8 or 9 years ago by Admiral William McRaven. You guys might have heard of it before. The book is titled Make Your Bed, and I got this book around Christmas time, and I read it, I would say, this past February, and the speech is by far my favorite speech of all time. I always like to listen to some inspirational speeches every once in a while. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Goalcast. They take some graduation speeches or public speeches and they turn them into short little videos, and they're very inspirational. And I like to listen to them when I get some free time every once in a while. But this speech specifically, if you guys have not listened to it yet, or if you've not read the book, Make Your Bed, you have to. You have to listen to the speech. It's on YouTube. Just look it up. The speech took place at the University of Texas, and you could type in the Admiral's name, or you can just type in Make Your Bed speech, and it will pop up. Or you have to get this book on Amazon. It's phenomenal. And the thing that I like so much about this book, obviously, it's short. It's a short read, and you can get through it pretty quickly. I think I got through it in about like 3 or 4 days. And each chapter talks about a different segment throughout his speech. And I actually wrote down all of the inspirational parts to the speech just so I have going forward throughout my life. But he leads off with how the slogan at the school is "What starts here changes the world for the better." And then he goes into all the different parts that he learned from his time doing training with the Navy SEALs. So the first part was, if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. Now you might be thinking like, oh, how am I going to change the world just by making my bed? But he goes into more detail about how just waking up and starting off with a small task can be very powerful throughout your day. Because if you wake up and you make your bed, then that gives you the courage to take on another task. Since I've listened to this speech a couple years ago, I'm not lying when I say I make my bed every single day. It's just the first thing that I do when I wake up. I can't even walk out of my bedroom without making my bed. And he also talks about how, even if you have a bad day, at least you come home to a bed that's made, and it gives you the hope that tomorrow will be better. Number 2, if you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Now, obviously, we're all going throughout life, navigating our different ways and going about our different journeys and following our dreams and passions. But this is very true. You have to have somebody alongside you, supporting you, being there for you, so you can reach the next level, reach a goal that you're trying to accomplish. In SEAL training, they're all teamed up and they're all trying to help each other get to the next part or overcome the next obstacle. And that's just very important throughout life because, yes, we're all on our own specific journey, but we can't get anywhere without the help of other people. Part 3, if you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart and not by the size of their flippers. Now, they talked about how in SEAL training, there was a group that were smaller than the other people throughout the training, but these people had the biggest hearts. And in the end, they were always the people that came out on top or finished the obstacle courses first. And it just goes to show, it kind of relates to the quote, have you guys ever heard? It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And this quote kind of goes hand in hand because it doesn't matter how big or strong or fast you are. If you're willing to just never give up, put in the effort and keep working hard, you're going to reach that goal. And with this quote, it's about the size of your heart, not the size of your flipper. So always, whenever you feel like, oh, I'm not strong enough, I'm not fast enough, I'm not smart enough, don't think that. Keep moving forward and you'll reach your goal if you want to. Part 4, if you want to change the world, get over being a sugar cookie and keep moving forward. Now, I thought this one was pretty interesting because during SEAL training, in the mornings, I believe they would check each SEAL's uniform. And more times than not, there was always something wrong. And if they had something wrong with their uniform, they would have to roll in the sand, or they have to jump in the water and then roll around the sand. And I don't know if you guys have ever felt that feeling, but having sand all over you, it's an uncomfortable feeling. But they would call it a sugar cookie. And throughout his speech and in the book, they talk about how, you know, at some point you will always be a sugar cookie, but you just have to get over it, get over that, uncomfortableness, that uneasiness, and just keep moving forward, because, you know, you're not going to grow in your comfort zone. You always have to be striving for more and keep getting better and never be satisfied. Part 5. If you want to change the world, don't be afraid of the circuses. This was a very important segment, quote, part of his speech that I resonated with, because, it's everybody at some point always has to put in the same amount of work. Like if you're on a sports team and you have practice for 2 hours, everybody on the team is practicing for 2 hours. But every once in a while, you have 3 or 4 kids that stay after. And they'll, just to say, I played soccer. So there was a couple kids that would stay after and they would shoot a little bit, or they run sprints, or do a couple extra miles around the track. And, at first, that extra training might wear you down and it might tire you out. And at first it might seem like, oh, you're not going anywhere, you're not progressing, you're not growing. But over time, all those extra miles and extra hours add up. And then sooner or later, you just surpass your opponents, and everyone that you're going against, whether it be in your profession, in your sport, in your school. So I thought this quote was very inspiring, because they had these things called circuses in SEAL training. And after their workouts, they would hold more workouts. And at first, William McRaven talked about how people were real tired and they were beat down. But in the end, these people who put in the extra hours of work were so much stronger than other people. Part 6. If you want to change the world, sometimes you have to slide down the obstacle course head first. Now, in this one, he talked about how there was an obstacle course and everyone went down a certain way and nobody was able to beat the record time. But then there was one person who slid down the obstacle course head first. And although it was extremely dangerous, he blew the record out of the water. He set his own record by a landslide, just by going down head first. And, none of the other SEALs thought of this, but by him, taking that courageous step, he was able to set the record and show everybody else that this is the new way to do it. There's a story that I always like, because I'm a runner. So if you guys ever heard of Roger Bannister, he was the first person to break the 4-minute barrier for 1 mile. And for years, nobody thought that it could be done. And then all of a sudden, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute barrier. And then after that, several people have done it. So it's just one of those things that, yes, although some people may say that it can't be done, or, finishing an obstacle course before the record time, can't be done, there's always a way for, a new outcome. So, never give up, keep moving forward. And, sometimes you might have to just think of a new way to get to where you're going. Part 7. If you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. Now, for me, when I was hearing this and he was talking about going out and swimming, the night swims, how, sometimes there'd be sharks in the water, but the instructors would just say, hey, if a shark approaches you, don't be afraid to punch it in the snout and it will turn away and then you can continue with your swim. But he relates this to life and how, you're always going to run into people that are trying to slow you down and trying to criticize you. And it's just your job to keep moving forward and not worry about what they have to say, because as long as you know where you're going, it doesn't matter what they have to say about you, their opinions, their thoughts, they don't mean anything. So just keep moving forward and don't be afraid of the sharks. I'm on number 8. So we're moving through pretty quickly. There won't be an inspirational quote of the day. These are all the quotes that you guys will get for this podcast episode. But part 8, If you want to change the world, you must be your very best in your darkest moment. Now, for most people, when they're chasing a dream, it's not, you don't see the dream right away. So as you're going throughout it, there will be dark moments, there will be tough times, but you just have to be your very best each day because you don't know when that opportunity will come. It's just like in sports, a backup player never knows when they're going to get the chance, but they have to be ready at all times. They have to be their best at all times. They have to be prepared because, say, another player gets hurt and they have to step into the game. They have to be willing to step up and take that opportunity because they may never get that chance ever again. Number 9, if you want to change the world, start singing when you're up to your neck in mud. This one I really liked, and this one is one of my favorite out of the 10 that he gave. He was talking about how the Navy SEALs were in this area called the mud flats, and they had to jump in, and the mud was so cold, it was nighttime, and they were, it was literally up to their neck. And, they had to stay into this area for a specific amount of time. However, if one of the SEALs quit, they were done. The rest of the team could get out of the mud flats, they can go home, and that was it. But obviously, you don't want to quit. So one of the people in the class started singing. And then this turned into the rest of the group singing. And then all of a sudden, William McRaven says that, it got a little bit warmer. People were more comfortable. And the end didn't seem so far away. And that's just so true because, it starts with one person. One person speaks up, and a couple other people have the courage to speak up, to sing. And then sooner or later, you have a group of people all working towards the same goal, the same end result. So this one, if you want to change the world, start singing when you're up to your neck in mud is extremely powerful. All right, the 10th and final quote that I took from the Make Your Bed speech is, if you want to change the world, don't ever, ever ring the bell. Once again, if you want to change the world, don't ever, ever ring the bell. Now, in SEAL training, where they do their workouts, they have this bell. And if you quit, you have to ring the bell 3 times and then place your uniform down. And that signifies that you're done with the training. You can't do it no more. And, from his speech and just in life, William McRaven is saying, don't ever give up because you never know what can happen if you keep going. So, the second you ring that bell, it's over. And, you never get that opportunity back. One of my favorite books and someone that I look up to, David Goggins, he is a former Navy SEAL. And in his book, he talks about how, 100 and some people started off, but only 40 some people finished. And, he would always look over, and people who rang that bell, it would give him the strength to, just keep going, just one more workout, one more day. And then, then the process was over. But he always talked about too, that he stayed close with some of the people who rang the bell, and they always tell Goggins that, they regret giving up. So yes, times will get hard, times will get difficult, but don't ever ring the bell. Don't ever give up. Keep going. And that was the 10th and final quote from the Make Your Bed speech that Admiral William McRaven gave at the University of Texas. Listen, I will take these 10 quotes with me, for the rest of my life. Whenever I'm going through a challenge, I'll refer back to these to, help me through. But if you guys have not checked out the speech yet, you look it up on Goldcast or just type in on YouTube his name. Is a truly inspirational speech, and the book, it's even better. Listen, it's the little things that can change your life and maybe the world. And William McRaven is totally right about that. And just tomorrow, try it. Start off by making your bed. If you're, somebody who doesn't like to make their bed, and you just like to roll out and start on with your day, just try it. Turn around, make your bed, and hopefully it will turn into a habit. And you'll see how these little details and these little tasks can add up over time. So once again, check out the speech if you haven't. That's all I have for this 3rd episode of Kryjer Knowledge. and I'll see you guys next week for the 4th episode. Thanks.